I want to talk to you today about owning your story. You have a choice in life. You can own your story or it can own you. Most people go through life hiding something they've been through, did to someone else, or had done to them. Forgiveness is a key to freedom, and sharing about it, what happened, is a way of getting it out. You need to release it. Jesus said, if you forgive anyone's sins, their sins are forgiven. If you don't forgive them, they're not forgiven. Another version says, if you forgive someone's sins, they are released. If you don't forgive it, they're retained. See, what we hold on to, we keep, but what we let go of, we release. Forgiveness is not saying that what happened to you is all right. It's saying, I'm not going to hold on to this. I'm not going to carry the weight of it any longer. See, John 8:36 says, so if the Son sets you free, you are truly free. Hiding your story and what happened to you is shame-based and will hold you in bondage. That's what I mean by saying your story owning you. When you hold on to it, it could turn into bitterness. It's true that hurting people hurt people. Don't waste another day hurting or carrying that weight of unforgiveness. There truly is healing in the revealing. I spend a lot of time helping people with their stories. I've heard amazing stories about people who have been hurt. It's so sad how many people have been molested as children. It sets people on a path of pain and they try to cope with it, but no matter how much they try to cover up the pain, it doesn't go away until you get it out. When you own your own story, you say, I struggled with drugs and alcohol, but now I'm getting the help I need to overcome my addiction. Or I was raped, and it's not okay, but I have forgiven those who hurt me, and I am free to live an amazing life. Or I had an abortion, and I have to live with that, but I forgive myself and I'm moving forward. Or I was abused as a child, and it led to drug addiction and promiscuity, but I am free now, and I'm becoming everything God created me to be. Or I was addicted to pornography, but now my wife is holding me accountable, and I'm dealing with the issues that led me to this struggle. Or I struggle with homosexuality, and I'm afraid people won't accept me, but I'm being open about it, and I seek to live the life God intended me to live. It's brave to own your own story. Brene Brown wrote an amazing book called Daring Greatly. We require it for all our interns at Lakewood. In her research, she found that in trying to discover how people connect, they shared about their fear of disconnection. We were made for connection, but what drives us is this fear of being disconnected. So instead, we hide in shame. It all started with Adam and Eve. They were in relationship with God, naked and unashamed. But when they did the one thing that God asked them not to do, their response was to hide in shame. Adam also blamed Eve. When we are exposed, we do two things. We hide and we blame. Owning your story is about getting the shame off you, so you can get to your rightful position of being open and honest about who you are. There is freedom on the other side of vulnerability. Men don't like to be vulnerable. We'd rather stay at home and watch sports. We shrink back, we become passive. If you'll trust the process of redeeming your story, it will change your life and the life of others. I personally went through an unwanted divorce. As a pastor, that's humbling and something I had to work through. But I remember the first time I shared my story with others, it was like a weight was lifted off of me. After the event, about 80 men came up to me that were all going through or had gone through something similar. God will use your story to heal someone else. Owning your story allows you to show up with confidence and be seen as a leader, as the leader God created you to be. Brene Brown said, courage is showing up and allowing yourself to be seen. Do you struggle with sharing your story? What makes sharing your story so difficult? Are you honest with other people about your story? How deep do you go? What are you holding back? Why are you holding back? There is power in vulnerability. Shame will tell you, you're the only one going through that, and no one else will accept you if they knew that about you. The truth is, we were all wearing masks long before the pandemic. You just couldn't see them. We put on masks and act like everything is okay, when down deep we are hurting. At church, we walk around and say hi to people. The response is always, blessed and highly favored. We keep on walking, not taking time to say, no, how are you really doing? See, intimacy comes when we take risks. There are always risks in relationship. Yes, you can get hurt, but you can also experience true love and authenticity. Let's get real. A few years ago, I went to Africa. One morning, we heard a woman yelling and screaming. One of the doctors said, sorry, I forgot to tell you. In the culture here, if a woman loses her husband and doesn't overreact, she's quickly accused of causing his death. So instead, women have to create a dramatic scene. Once I attended a denominational church with one of my son's friends. He had long hair and looked a little worldly. Over and over again, people in the church came up and tried to cast demons out of him. It almost became funny as they were judging him by his external appearance. At this same church, I noticed that if you didn't repent loudly and feel bad about what a sinner you are, you weren't truly saved. What does actions like that cause? People put on masks. They're not authentic. They have to perform versus have a relationship. You probably have your own examples of acting like you have it all together or playing like you're someone you're not. Our young adults today have something they call FOMO. It stands for fear of missing out. See, we all want to connect, to be included. We don't want to miss out. The problem is we might lose ourselves in the process. We become what people want us to be, not who God created us to be. Here are some key points around vulnerability. Number one, you're not the only one. We think we're the only one going through something. There is no sin except what is common to all men. The truth is, someone else needs to hear your story to help them open up about theirs. Number two, we fear rejection. They won't like me if they knew this about me. Shame can hold us back from being brave. Shame can keep us from intimacy. If you struggle with pornography, you may have a difficult time being intimate with your wife. Lust never satisfies. It's insatiable. You keep trying to fill a void that only Jesus can fill. The truth is, authenticity is attractive. Your relationship will be more meaningful when you are real with people. Number three, we wear masks. When you put on a mask, you have to act like you're someone else. Your lies will eventually catch up with you. There's no true freedom in being fake. We like to act like we have it all together, like we're perfect. The truth is, we all have flaws, and when we own our story and take off the mask, it feels like the weight has been lifted off our shoulders. Number four, redemption. There is freedom on the other side of discomfort. God will redeem your story. When we get the junk out and share the shame, it allows God to redeem our story and help someone else get free. You can minister to someone I can. Your mess is your message. Your test is your testimony. Your trial is your triumph. Been to prison? There is a prisoner who needs to hear from you and how you made it on the outside. Number five, the key is getting it out. You don't have to share your story to everyone, but share it with someone. Do it afraid. There is healing in the revealing. I always say, do it afraid. The more you share it, the easier it gets. Be authentic and real. Just be yourself and share it from the heart. You will be glad you did. Most people are afraid of being vulnerable. It's not easy. Do it afraid. The freedom is on the other side of the sharing. God had to encourage Joshua many times to be strong and of good courage. To me, sharing is one of the bravest things you can do. Holding it in and suffering and acting out and hurting yourself and others, that's bondage. In the Bible, Egypt represents bondage and slavery. The Promised Land represents the promises and freedom of God. When things got tough, the Israelites wanted to go back into bondage rather than the struggle to be free. See, fear will do that. It will hold us hostage. Faith is believing in the unseen. The children of Israel had to walk around the mountain for 40 years because they were afraid to enter into the unknown. They were afraid of what they could see, so they couldn't believe for the promises of God they couldn't see. Once Joshua crossed over, the Israelites found victory after victory and entered into the land flowing with milk and honey. A friend of mine recently shared that she went to a seminar where the speaker said, "That thing you're afraid of, that's exactly what you need to do. Take that fear and kick it in the face." You have to face your fears. My challenge to you tonight is take the mask off. Men are notorious for wearing masks. We weave a web of lies and then spend our time and effort keeping up with them. I always tell single women to be friends with someone for 9 months to a year before getting into a serious relationship. Why? Because a guy can tell you what you want to hear. He can only keep up the facade for so long before his lies catch up with him. Most every time someone shortcuts this advice, they regret it. I had a single mom one time disappear for about 3 months. One day at church, she introduced me to her new husband. She had hidden because she knew what I would have told her. He ended up having problems with drugs she wasn't aware of and became abusive. He ended up in prison and she had to raise the children without a dad. It's so freeing when you finally take the mask off. Be who God created you to be. No hiding, blaming others. Here's some own your story tips. Start with your life story. Write it down. We have a timeline sheet where you can chart your highs and lows in life. Share it with someone. That's why we encourage coffee conversations. Take a friend for coffee and swap stories. As part of the Freedom Ministry, we have mentors who confidentially walk you through the story with you. The key is to get it out. This week, I'd like you to start your life story, chart your life history, highlighting the highs and the lows. When you write your story, you get it out into the light. Once you've got it down, share it with someone you trust. Watch how God redeems what you've been through. Owning your story is a key to freedom. If you do this, I believe and declare that you will be set free from your past and move into the destiny God designed for you. In Jesus' name.